nuclear bombers. It seems that the mood has shifted a bit in Moscow. To what extent do you think this will change Russian tactics on the battlefield? Or it does seem that restraint is now difficult, not just because of pressure from other politicians and the public that they have to act more forcefully, but also the sense of, I guess, the need to restore their deterrent. That is, well, if something like this happened in the United States, someone attacked their nuclear forces, one would think there's a need to revive this deterrent, send a signal that this will never happen again. But we have seen some changes. That is, Russia's hitting Ukrainian cities pretty hard now with drones and missiles. Is this a new tactic, you think, or is it just a temporary retaliation, or do you see any wider implications of how Russia would be changing its approach, given the, I guess, the anger that is now taking over?
I think it's important for everyone to realize, especially in Moscow, that strikes will not win the Ukraine war for Russia. I've looked at the target list. All the targets they picked to attack were legitimate. They all did severe damage, and they will have military impact on the ability of the Ukrainians to do very much. But it's not going to end the war. Now, in terms of the battlefield, the war is over. The Russians have won. But strategically, the war continues and will continue as long as Zelensky is there in Kiev with his little inner circle and they pretend to be a functional government with real institutions and real armed forces. And they will do that as long as we in Washington send them cash and military equipment. So the question is, what are you going to do about this, President Putin? Are you going to simply throw more rockets and missiles at the Ukrainians? That's not really going to change very much. You want an end to the war. I want an end to the war. President Trump always had a way to end the war. That is, cut off the military aid immediately. Withdraw all U.S. personnel, civilians, military, intelligence, it doesn't matter, get them all out of Ukraine. Stop the flow of equipment as well as cash to Ukraine. At that point, the Ukrainian government and its operation collapses. The Europeans can't make up the difference. And the Europeans, regardless of what fools like Mr. Rutte and others say, they have no appetite for war. They're not interested in fighting for anything in Ukraine. They want to sit on the sidelines, posture as heroic defenders of this thing they call democracy, which is largely nonsense now in Western Europe. If you look at the censorship and the punishment meted out to people who have the audacity to disagree with whatever the mainstream opinion is uttered by the government, that's all nonsense. So the question is, if you're in Moscow, what are you going to do? I don't think they have much choice. I think that they've got to roll over the Dnieper River. They've got to cross it. They've got to go into Kiev and put this government out of business in Kiev. They've got to take Odessa, because Odessa is the gateway for arms and all sorts of equipment and technology for Ukraine. Now they're going to send 10,000 Russian troops, I understand, to Moldova to protect the Russians who are living in Moldova. Well, if you're going to do that, you might as well take Odessa. Then you at least have a land bridge to Moldova. And I think that can be done. Once it becomes clear that the government in Kiev is out of business and Odessa is in Russian hands, I think at that point you're looking at an end state. Then you have a rump state Ukraine. Then the question is, what do the Romanians, the Moldovans, the Hungarians, the Slovaks, the Poles really do about it? Because they're the ones with a border with Russia and Ukraine. I don't know what the Lithuanians, Latvians, and Estonians are going to do except continue to sit on the sidelines and carp and complain like other Lilliputian countries with Lilliputian armies. It's just absurd. But I think the other states that I mentioned, they have an interest in ending this conflict as well. The question is, what do the rest do? The Germans? I mean, Germany is just a frightful mess. It's a catastrophe right now. You have a coalition governing there that can't agree on anything. You have people in power in Paris and London who Might as well be on Mars. There's absolutely no grasp of reality whatsoever. So it's just appalling when I listen to what these people say. They're playing with fire, and they have no idea what that means. And what it means is very, very serious because at some point, the Russians are going to do what I just mentioned. They will because they don't have any choice. And if this doesn't end it, they'll have to do more. I think it was a member of the Russian delegation that said, well, remember, we fought Sweden for 21 years. They did. And we ought to remember that. And I think we ought to be interested in peace, not more conflict, because it's certainly not helping Ukraine. The principal victims in all of this are Ukrainians, let's face it. But I don't see any hope right now on the horizon for any rationality. Maybe we get some new governments, some new leadership in the West, we could see something positive happen. But right now, the Russians have to deal with a situation that exists. They've got to get rid of Zelensky and this horrible government he represents.
There is something awfully irrational about both governments and media at the moment.